Hello, Steve White, Steve RC9. Well, I've been enjoying collecting the Master Universe Origins figures for a few years now, 5 years, and I'm aware that the Origins line was sort of winding down. I was wondering where they're going to go next. Now, of course, they've got the cartoon collection, and obviously they're going to redo all the characters and the cartoon versions and do original cartoon characters from the series. But once that's done, you know, what's left? I mean, there have been a few sketchbook ones, and I thought they were going to be random, but I'm hearing they're actually going to start doing like all of the sketchbook versions and different versions of the figures that were done in development before we got the ones that we got. So that's interesting. But the other thing I just heard, which is interesting as well, I heard that they're actually going to continue doing more Master Universe 2000. Is it 2002? They call it 2000X, the 2000 series, like the reboot series. And that's kind of interesting because they did He-Man and Skeletor, and I got He-Man and Skeletor. I quite liked them. They also did Evil Lynn, which I got. She's the only other one I got because I was only getting alternative and different versions. I wasn't getting just the ones that were just straight remakes of the vintage ones. So I got her because she wasn't yellow and I already had a yellow one. But I eventually started getting all the figures anyway, so I ended up getting the yellow one as well. But this one I still like because I thought the colours worked really well, and aside from the colours, like her skin for example, she was very much the same as Evil Lynn, so recolouring the figure sort of worked. But the only other one that they did was, well, they did a couple actually, but the only one they did that I thought at least was interesting was they did a King Randor, but it didn't make any sense. It was supposed to be like a young King Randor. I'm like, is this when they were dealing with Keldor? Or like, what is this? Why would they do him before they do like Man-at-Arms or Teela or Orko? It didn't really make a lot of sense. I thought if they're going to do the 2000X series figures in Origins, you know, they probably should start with the main characters, and I'd never understood why they did King Randor. And then they did Snake Teela, which is basically just Teela in green with really clunky scales, like painted on like they were drawn on like a cartoon character. So instead of having sculpted scales or you know, detailed deco ones which kind of look real, they just went with these big cartoony looking things. I just felt I can't, it's just awful. I can't, so I haven't bought it. It's one of the only ones I haven't bought and don't really plan to ever buy. And the other two were the Snake Armor figures. They had a He-Man and a Skeletor. Now, the He-Man comes with a set of Snake Men. If I get that set and I get that He-Man, I'll get the Skeletor. But if I don't, I'm not going to get them because I just don't like them. I think when the 2000X series did their own versions of the vintage characters, they did a good job of it. But when they tried to do their own designs, like the Snake Armor ones and stuff, they just looked awful. The colouring, everything, the design was just awful. So I can't imagine buying anything like that. Now the other characters, like He-Man and Skeletor, they really are just, you know, different armour and different head sculpts, and that's sort of it. So I wouldn't mind, because apparently they're doing Stratos, of course, because everything starts with Stratos. Stratos and Triclops they're going to do next. And there's some speculation that they're actually going to start doing them in the original scale and do like the Origins versions of these. And that does seem like a bit of a stretch, like a bit of wishful thinking, but at the same time, this is Master Universe. It's not just going to be over in a couple of years. They can't just like go, we'll finish this line, then we're done. You know, it's going to be around for decades. So they might want to start to think about what they're going to do in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And they can look into committing to, you know, what's the word? Investing in new bucks and new, you know, sculpted parts, and starting like another version of the line. Like you've got the Masterverse line, which sort of turned into the sort of new Eternia line, which now is sort of turned into the vintage line, and seems to be running along with the Masterverse. So you get these original variations of the original designs, then you've got the actual straightforward original designs. So they've got those, and they're doing those in one scale, and they're doing the other Origins ones in their own scale. So maybe they'll do a 6-inch standard line for these. But I'm guessing that's just speculation and wishful thinking on some fans' part of this part. But Like, for example, these look really nice. I wouldn't have minded them just done with more articulation, because these ones have very basic, like 6 points of articulation. That's about it. And then later, when they had issues with the rights and everything, they ended up doing staction figures. So it'd be interesting to see even just basic action figures of those figures. So who knows if that's what they're going to do. But they're at least going to do more Origins figures from the 2000X line. But will they do all of them? Will they do their own scale or anything and start the collection again? I don't know. I think that's a speculation, wishful thinking on one fan's part. But I just thought that was interesting. I want to talk about that for a minute and sort of compare that to the idea of the sketchbook series. And I'm glad they're going. I'm glad they're continuing. I've been enjoying collecting them. But at the same time, at some point, things do sort of have to run their course and end. So we'll see where it goes.